I'm speaking with Rondell. Ron is with the Fraternal Order of Police. Ron, you've come down to speak with the activists that are at the police station. How's that going?
It's going good. I mean, when you've got that group and police coming together, there's going to be a lot of friction, a lot of different opinions, and we're trying to get, where can we agree? What can we work on together as a group? You've got two opposite ends of ideas and of philosophy, and so how can we bring that together? Where can we start this healing? Where can we start this working together with each other?
And what motivated you to come down? Was this a personal choice, or did you come down to speak for the Fraternal Order of Police?
I came down because what I'd heard, I'd got calls that they were calling for the indictment of the officer involved in the shooting, that he be charged. And, the investigation's not over. From the information that I have, I've got information, they've got information. The information I got was the officer did nothing wrong. He acted within the rules of law enforcement. He did nothing wrong that day. And for the group to call for his indictment, that's what I was concerned about. The other issues were secondary. I understand those and working them, but when you call out for an officer to be indicted when he's done nothing wrong, that was my concern. Until the investigation over, till the SBI is done with their investigation, till all the facts are out, you can't just charge, and the DA can't charge anybody either until the investigation is over for them to call out this officer. So I felt like for that officer, the members of our lodge, close to 300 members of our lodge had to come out and say, hey, let's calm down, wait till the investigation's over before we, I had a problem with them wanting somebody to be indicted without
Right. So you're reaching out. Is there anything that you're hearing from the group here that is maybe new information to you as far as the intent and the purpose that the people have? How do you feel about the overall idea of Black Lives Matter?
Well, after talking to them, I understand where they're coming from. In a situation like this, no one should want it. The officers do not want this. The last thing an officer ever wants to do is have to be put in this situation. And for the family, I can't even begin to imagine the pain they're going through. So I understand the concern there, and I understand Black Lives Matter's concern, and we're, wanting to just be educational for me and for them. All right, this is what we can do, this is what we're allowed to do, this is what shouldn't happen, this is what should happen. And let's try to come together, and so we'll have an understanding. We may not like everything, but let's try to have an understanding where each other are coming from, and what can be realistically changed, what realistically cannot change, and where we can come together and try to make changes.
I'm sure you watch TV, and you've probably seen some of the news in other cities where people are protesting from Black Lives Matter and such. There's been some very, very heavy confrontations on the street. How do you feel about Asheville's response to what's happening here today?
Well, to be honest with you, I am kind of shocked that the police department is allowing this to go in their lobby. Because I know people come in here to get their cars back if they're towed. They come in here to get reports. They come in here, and so they're stopping a lot of people from coming here taking care of business. And I'm surprised, really, that the police department is allowing them to come in and take over. I really am, without rule of law and saying, hey, press it. But they're not violent. They're not, they were open to me, a stranger from the other side, so to speak, coming in, and were willing to talk to me and willing to let me talk to them. So it's nothing. There's been no confrontation. It's all been peaceful. It's all been a sharing of facts and talking to each other, disagreeing, but we're going to disagree. But understanding that we can disagree, and let's try to reach a place. So, this group here today that's in there, I've got no problem. I'm just surprised the department's allowing them to come in there and stay in there. That's just surprised me, but that's not my saying or my call. I just was surprised to hear that they were allowed to do that.
Well, you mentioned the fact that people are having disagreement, but are you seeing places where they agree, where like you would agree with some of the things that are being said here?
That is going to take some sitting down with both groups. And having an understanding. Let's look at all the facts on this side, all the facts on this side. Let's see where the facts back each other up, where they don't back each other up. So just from a little bit in there, it's not even a start to the conversation that needs to be had.
Right.
It's just that it's kind of like in the book. You're just reading the front cover. This is what this book is about. You've not even started any part of the book to get to the ending. So but I hope that they see that the Fraternal Order Police, we're not here to be confrontational. We want to be educational for us to learn and for them to learn, and both to understand where each other are coming from and what our concerns are as law enforcement, understanding what their concerns are and what truly we can do different or what we can't do different, and what is law, what is not law, what we can and can't do, and what they expect from us. And they are true. We work for the community. We work for the citizens of Oshawa. That's why we do the job. And we should be aware, and officers are aware that everything we do should be to make Asheville a better place, and that's what we want. I mean, it breaks an officer's heart to have to be put in a situation this officer is in. The effect that it has on him and his family, he felt he had no other option at that time, and it's devastating for an officer to go through, and for a department, and for a community. And so it's sad on both sides of what's took place. So we're just hoping that somehow we can bring healing, or we can come together and go, hey,
One of the things the people inside are calling for is racial justice training for officers, and I know that a lot of our officers have gone to some of the programs like building bridges. Have you heard of building bridges? And if you have, do you think that kind of training is something that an officer should maybe have?
Well, yeah, a lot of officers have that. We have honest with you, we have training all the time, continual training. It's unreal the hours of training that officers are put into in diversity, in dealing with. There's one of the greatest classes I attended was a CSI training, which is a week-long school with people dealing with people with intellectual disbehaviors, dealing with people drug. We went and visit drug rehab. We went and visit Copestone. We went and visit people with mental disabilities. We visit all over the county, and visiting the VA, visit the veterans, visiting people, and understanding a lot of times when they're in stressful situations, how do we de-escalate? How do we get to a place where we can work better with them? So I think training is not a real big issue, because we train so much, and we train on that. You can train all day, and we do a lot of training. We do hours and hours, mandated by the state of North Carolina, as well as mandated by the department, and extra classes that are put out we train in. In the building bridges, officers go to that. CSI training, critical stress, training. We go through all of that. And I think the issues and problems that are going on that they may have is more training is not going to stop it. More training is not the answer.
What is the answer then, Ron?
I think you got to look at at both sides, and you got to look at one thing at the police department. And I've talked about this for the last 3 chiefs. You look at work schedule that these officers work under. I work midnights. I work 12-hour shifts. The most days in a year that I would get off in the road would be 2. These officers have no time to decompress. They are dealing with stressful situations for 12 hours. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you come in at work at 6 o'clock in the evening. At 4 in the morning, you're thrown into a critical situation. These ain't excuses, but it's just facts that, you've been up for 11 hours, 10 hours. You go home, you sleep, you come back the next day, 12-hour shifts. I think that's one thing, and there's no time for the officer to decompress, to calm down, catch their breath, spend time with their families. Quality of life issue, and I've argued that with the last 3 chiefs, but they won't change the schedule. The best schedule we ever had was 4 on, 4 off. It gives you time to de-escalate and come down and catch your breath, and you go to work with a different view, a different attitude. But these officers, the way they work now, they're continually in this mindset of enforcement, mindset of doing this, and there's no break from it.
Do you think they're getting paid enough?
No, I don't.
Because that can add to a person's stress too, if they're having trouble paying their bills at home and stuff.
Most officers are having to, and I did, till I retired 2 years ago. I had to work secondary, and it's not, to make ends meet. That's not to buy a yacht or new cars. That's just to feed your kids, be able to send them to college, be able to make, work secondary jobs. And so, that there. Then also, departments all across the state put more emphasis on being an enforcement officer than they do on being a peace officer. I gave the example when I worked downtown. It's called augment. Officers to work downtown because of the tourist industry for extra pay, which was good pay. I got overtime pay for doing that. But if I worked a whole shift and came in and I didn't write a ticket, put somebody in jail, the captain here put an email out to everybody that worked augment. If you don't write tickets or put people in jail, then you're not going to work augment no more. So I could spend 5 hours talking to the kids downtown, talking to different groups, talking to people. That kind of does nothing. How many tickets did you write tonight? How many people did you put in jail tonight? And that's, you got to get the officers out of that mindset. And all across the state, how many tickets did you write? If you're on the special team, how many tickets did you write? How many people did you put in jail? Officers judge how good officer they are, what kind of job they do, by how many people you arrest or put in jail. That has to change. You have to allow officers to be able to go, to work a whole 6-hour shift downtown and just talk to people and talk to visitors and talk to the people the homeless people downtown. I worked downtown, and guys, we knew every homeless person, knew them by name. We knew if they was missing. Where's so and so? I've not seen them in 2 weeks. Where are they at? One of our officers found out that he was killed in South Carolina. So we deal with that, and we take that responsibility. But that wasn't good enough if we wasn't writing tickets, putting people in jail. That's what officers are judged by. That needs to change all across this country. that part of it. We need to be more peace officer than enforcement officer. And there's times when we have to do it, and we will do our job.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. There are times when you have to think quick. I mean, you got a second.
You've got to do your job, and you've got people.
When you have had a chance to de-escalate a situation, when you have that time and that moment to do that, do you find that you're usually able to de-escalate a situation when given that
most times
opportunity?
I worked here for 26 and a half years. I spent 9 years undercover, looking like you, and working
I
drugs.
feel bad for you.
But and so I learned. I may be in a hotel room with somebody. I may be in their house. So I learned real quick how to negotiate, how to get out of situations, how to calm people down, and how to do that. And also, I was commander of the crisis negotiation team, the hostage negotiation team. So I had a lot of extra training that I went to deal with people in stressful situations, suicidal situations, where we'd talk to them for hours on the phone. When you're out here on the street, though, you get a call, a man's up here in the park and he's got a knife. You get there and you pull up, there's a knife there, you've got boom, boom, boom. You ain't got time. A lot of times you scream, "Oh, put it down," but he starts going towards you or somebody else. What am I going to do? I can't come talk to him while he's got a knife coming towards you. So when the officers are thrown into that situation, you've got to be able to decide that quick. What's best? What can I do? And that one split-second decision, you could do a good job, it could cause you to be hurt if you don't think quick enough. It could cause you to be killed. It could cause you to lose your job. It could cause you to be indicted. So officers are under a lot of pressure in a situation like that. There's no time to negotiate when a man's got a knife walking through the park going toward people. You've got to make a decision. What do I do to save someone's life?
Right.
So that's what they're put in. And you put in that situation time after time after time, but yet you've got no time to go home and relax and go, wow, that was rough. And because most time when we were off, you was either coming in for training on night shift, you was coming in for training, or you was coming in for court. And I presented to the last chief, Chief Hogan. I said, do you need to change some quality of life for these officers? They need some time away from this place. They need some time to decompress and come down. And this schedule they got now, and all across the country. When FOP started in 1913, our number one concern was officers working 12-hour shifts. That's where FOP started. We're right back to that 12-hour shift. That is too much for an officer to be out here working that 12-hour shift. Your mind, you can't stay that concentrated. You get aggravated. It's just you're putting the officers in a bad environment to try to deal with a stressful thing when you've got them out there working 3 days of 12-hour shifts.
Right. Ron, I really appreciate you speaking with me here today. One of the things, as a person who does this community reporting that I do, I've become aware of how in our news, in our media, we go home, we watch the TV, and we see a story. And these real-life events become something less than a real-life event. It becomes a story. And I appreciate you telling us a little bit about the real-life problems that maybe face our officers out on their in the job that they have to do.
And one thing too is reaching out to the community. That's why I'm proud to be that part of the FOP. We spend close to $17,000 a year putting on youth camps for kids, kids from Asheville High, kids from Buncombe County, kids from the complexes. We reach out to them. We put youth camps through the police department, through the sheriff department, through the high school. We sponsor 2 or 3 high school programs, trying to reach out to kids and doing that. And the Special Olympics, Boy Scouts, and we see the importance of that, bridging that gap, law enforcement, and our kids as they're coming up. So we believe strongly in that, and we're not just sitting back here just talking. We're putting our words into action. Say probably $17,000 to $20,000 a year we spend on our youth programs and helping, trying to reach the youth. Law enforcement and youth coming together, trying to have an understanding. So we're serious about, we love Asheville. That's why we police here in Asheville. That's why the Buncombe County deputies police Buncombe County and the other agencies, because we believe and love the community. And we want to be part of the solution. We don't want it to be where we pull in people hire the bullies, And we don't want that. And we don't want the officers to be thinking too, wow, there's that group, there's that group, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've learned. I learned from working downtown. And I worked at, went to the Democratic National Convention, worked in Charlotte, and dealt with a lot of people and learned that, they may look different, act different, but we still all got common ground that we can come together. And so I've used to dealing with, protests and stuff downtown. That was a great experience working downtown, working on the bike team, and dealing with back during the time of Occupy Wall Street. So I dealt with that group a lot and learned, hey, we can come together. Where you want to do? Where you going to march? Right, let us go with you, and work together, be civil, work together, and try to understand each other. We'll never probably all agree on everything. That's never going to happen. That don't even happen in my family, or at my church. It don't happen, But to at least try, Tim, to have an understanding of each other and understand what's my limits in doing this, what's my limits in saying this, or going here, or doing that, and try everything we can to improve.
Well, Ron, I certainly appreciate you talking to me.
No problem. Thank you for being here.